right? It's not a fucking war, dog. You ain't dying. You're not dying, bro. The possibility the government's involved, bro. You don't have weapons, dog.
You got a referee.
Yeah, you got a man in there to save your ass. It's not a war, bro. And a jiu-jitsu match is not a fight. It's a match. It's a competition.
Exhibition, I guess you could say in some.
Yeah, it's not a fight, man. It's not a jiu-jitsu match is not a fight. And an MMA fight is not a war. You know, I used to be that guy. I'm going to war this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to war. Like, it's like, now I look back and I'm like, God, that was so stupid.
Is there no one else? Is there no one else?
All right, let's get freaking started.
Let's go, dog.
Thank you for coming in, man.
Hey, thank
I
you,
appreciate
brother.
it.
Of course, man. Thank you.
Yeah, 1 pointer just for the mic. About a fist away. Get the best audio from it. So just keep that baby close. Thank you for coming in, man. For those who don't know, this is Lathon Lawson, former MMA fighter, firefighter, right?
Yes, sir.
Lifelong martial artist.
That's it.
Newly awarded black belt now.
Yep.
I know I'm missing a few things here and there, but your MMA journey for the past 10 years has been a different one compared to most.
Yes.
You started the journey of becoming a mixed martial artist over 10 years ago, you could say. And you fought as a pro 3 times against 2 opponents who were still competing. Didn't get the outcome you wanted in those fights, but it didn't seem to stop you from pursuing the art of MMA.
Facts.
Being that you received your BJJ black belt recently, add that in there. Fill in the blanks for us on how you got to this point and what made you want to become a mixed martial artist. And you can just start wherever and don't,
Let's work backwards a little bit. So how did I get here? Man.
MMA. Like, how did you get into MMA?
So, well, how did I get to this point that I'm at right now? I think the biggest thing, honestly, is just me being consistent. Like, being a lifelong martial artist, I don't consider myself a fighter. Like, at one point, I thought I was a fighter, but fighting is unforgiving, dog. Like Justin Gaethje said, like, fighting is the most unforgiving sport. He's like, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy, It is a very unforgiving sport, but along that journey, like, you learn a lot about yourself and you learn what it truly means to become like a martial artist. And that's what I pretty much learned, is like how to become a martial artist and how to make this thing become longevity versus, I got a small stint as a fighter. Longevity, I'll worry about that later on. CT, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Nah, it's all about the longevity. But what got me into actually MMA is fear. Like, when I was a kid, I was afraid to fight. Like, I always say, can I cuss on here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was a pussy, dog. I'll tell everybody. I'm straight up. I'm just telling everybody I was a pussy, man. Like, I did not want to fight anybody. I ran from fights when I was a kid. Like, I had guys that would, not a lot because I was a very likable person too, but that was part of the persona, is like, if everybody liked me, nobody would want to hurt me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was a people pleaser. I was a very likable person. I tried to never sway, the boat. Try to always just roll with the tide, And I've had kids like try to fight me before, and I like ran. I've only been in a couple fights like beyond fighting in the cage, but I was only in a couple fights like in school. I remember one time in middle school, I was in a fight, but this kid just pissed me off, and like, that was the only time I ever felt like I really want to hurt him.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I was just afraid of everybody beating me up, but never been bullied. Never had any issues with somebody trying to physically harm me. It's just in the back of my head, I think I knew that I wasn't capable. So I remember my summer before my 9th grade year, in high school, my older brother came home, and he was the martial artist. Like, he was the one that did karate growing up. Like, he was always like, he learned to use nunchucks. Like, he learned to use swords, throwing stars.
Bruce Lee type shit.
My brother was obsessed with martial arts, right? But that wasn't me. I used to like watching the Kung Fu movies and watching WWE, but I was never the guy that was like, man, I'm gonna be a fighter when I grow up, But then he showed me UFC, bro. And like, when I tell you, I saw that and I was like, I want to do that.
Sign me up.
I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. I was like, that looks so fun. I don't know why. I don't know what triggered.
I mean, I get that. I mean, I'm not trying to like continue. Pause that. I just want to add this in. MMA is one of the craziest sports ever. It's and for you to say like, I don't know why, dude. It's like a lot of men have that we see that fighting on stage and we just resonate with that, the hardships and adversity they go through. And then when they come out on top, it's like one of the most glorious things to see.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. And you don't have to do it. You choose to be there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you're forced into it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's a crazy sport that it moves people more emotionally, I feel, than any other sport.
It really does, man. You get emotionally invested into it, like other people's journeys too, which is like the weirdest thing because like I've experienced the feeling of wanting a win for somebody more than they've wanted for themselves. Like I've been there a couple times, you know. I've wanted it more than they've wanted it. Yeah. And that's like the craziest feeling in the world, you know. I want their success more than they even want it, you know. And I'm willing to do whatever they need me to do to help them be successful. Yeah. So like, yeah, man. After I saw UFC, my older brother showed me, like, he's like, bro, you gotta watch this. And I started watching it.
What were you watching on Spike or?
He showed me like I think he had some DVDs at the time. Man. Like he had some DVDs. Him and his roommate at the time, like, were obsessed with UFC also. But I like went all in, dog. Like he showed me like a few basic things. He's like, man, yeah, this is how you throw a punch. You know, this is how you move it. This is how you throw a kick or whatever. He's like, man, you know, you want to work on your head movement. He's like, man, just shadow box like all the time. And like I was in the mirror, you know, in the bathroom, like shadow boxing, punching. Yeah, dude.
Every guy does that.
I was kicking everything in my house, bro. I was kicking my little brother. I was kicking my bedpost. I was kicking like, if there was a dog, I was kicking the dog. I was kicking everything, bro. Front kicking, side, like, you know, roundhouse and everything. So like I got completely obsessed. And then I was like, oh, the most successful guys are wrestlers. These guys are the most successful fighters. So then I signed up for the wrestling team in high school when I was in 10th grade. I signed up for the wrestling team, and that was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Was that where was that at? What school?
Here in Warner Robins, Warner Robins High School. Okay. Yeah, so I signed up for the Warner Robins High School wrestling team. We had a football coach for a wrestling coach. He gave it hell. Shout out Coach Johnson. You know what I'm saying? He gave it hell, man. He did everything he could to like give us the tools that we needed. He just wasn't a wrestler. He was a football coach, but he made sure we were in shape, stuff like that. And he gave us the basic tools. And then from there, like, you know, I wrestled for a while. I wasn't really good or anything like that in high school. Got way better after high school for some reason. But yeah, man, after I found like MMA and like I saw the UFC and I was like, man, I want to do that. That helped me with my confidence a lot, bro. Like, it made me skyrocket on the confidence meter. And then I started working out because I was like, oh, I got to be in shape too. You know, so I started working out, lifting weights in high school. Like I said, I was wrestling. Me and my friends would have like backyard fights. You know what I'm saying? The typical high school thing where like, oh, we're going to meet up at so-and-so's house this weekend and we're going to,
pay-per-view via Snapchat.
Yeah, right. We're going to scrap, you know? So we would do that, man. And that was fun.
That's awesome.
Those are the good times, man.
Yeah, wrestling is it's a different sport.
It is, right?
I did it for 1 year in 8th grade.
Oh, nice.
One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't keep going with it. I did it for 1 year, but I understand in that 1 year 100% what it's about. You know, I mean, I've always had coaches yelling at me when I did basketball and other stuff, you know, but like, I don't know, it's just different mentality. And you're being put under basically every day after school. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have that little, I would always have like a little bit of butterflies in my stomach, you know, because I'm like, what if I'm going to get called out, or what if I'm going to get called out for not doing this right? Or, you know, it's like, it can be intense, especially if it's the coach that's, you know, really got one of those mindsets that's trying to push people to be the best they can be. But sometimes you can get some coaches in there that are a little intense, you know. I think that's what scared me a little bit as an 8th grader, you know, like I think I just wasn't ready mentally. Like, and I wish I was, you know. That's one of those things that's like, damn, I should just fucking stuck through it. You know, there was times I would just be like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I wasn't ready for this. I never been pushed this hard, you know, with this adversity and like working out this hard. It was just a lot. And, you know, it's a rough sport, but it's a great base for MMA. 100%.
It's the best. It's the best base. The statistics on the amount of champions that have been wrestlers compared to other baseline fighters, karate, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu fighters, wrestling exceeds exponentially on the scale. I think 80% of champions in the UFC have had a wrestling base or have wrestled at some point. And that says a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's exponentially high. So my wrestling journey was a little different though, because I never had the intention on like being like a wrestler. Like I never had the intention on like, I want to go to state. I want to win state. I never gave a shit about none of that. I was like, I'm doing this because I want to fight. Like that's the only reason I wrestled. And it's not that I didn't care, because I gave it everything when I was wrestling. Like I gave it everything I had. Every practice, like coach would say, do this. I'm like, all right.
You just want to take what you can learn from this sport and then apply it.
So my mind was never focused on the torture and the pain that I had to go through at the moment, because I had a bigger goal. I had a bigger thing in mind. And I didn't realize that at the time. I was like in the moment. But when I graduated, I realized I was like, I really could have did a lot better at wrestling if I took it more serious. Yeah. I just didn't care.
When you're that young, man, you gotta mold a kid's mind. You're a fucking kid then.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like keeping someone involved in that. Like I know when I have a kid, like if he wants to do something, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna push you to do it. I'm gonna hold you to it. And it's like, you will thank me later when I held you to it, because you only have these 4 years to pursue any type of athletic sport in your life. Yep. This is your prime years of training. Yeah. Whether you want to go for it or not. Because that's it. After high school, I mean, maybe you can join a club. Maybe you still got a little bit of athletic ability, but if you don't have that base from high school where you're studying the fundamentals of whatever sport, you're playing for that sport and then putting yourself out there as an athlete, like you're not going to end up doing that. You're going to phase out. You're going to have to be like, okay, I got to find a job doing this, right? Yeah. Do you really want to do that? You know, it's like, or do you want to at least put some effort in where you can get something out of it, you know?
I think that's the best thing you could do for a person, is like to give them like an athletic base. I think that everybody should play a sport as a child. Like every person in America should play a sport. I think that should be mandatory.
100%. That should be. I mean, even for people that like, there's always people that complain about things, but like there's always something someone's good at. There's not always physical restraints, you know, like there's, I mean, even if it's just like debating or doing something, right? Like do something. It doesn't even have to be crazy physical activity. You can work your brain with debating, you know, that's a sport. What else is there? There's golf.
Chess. Chess is competitive too. Yes. Yeah.
There's always there's something out there for everyone.
There is, man. I truly believe that physical activity is like one of the most important things when it comes. So, you know, like boys get diagnosed with ADHD like on a higher scale than girls and stuff like that. But like we have this, naturally men have this energy that we need to burn off. And when you don't let a young boy burn off that energy, of course they're like,
comes out in different ways.
This kid's bad, man. He's misbehaving. It's like, no, he's got this pent up fucking energy that he needs to burn off. It's like imagine like a train and you're just feeding it coal, right? And then the train ain't going nowhere. It's just building up.
Gonna blow up,
It's gonna fucking blow up, dog. You gotta let that train eat. You gotta let that joker go. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that is very important for a young man and young women too. Mm-hmm. They have the same amount of energy. It's just, or they have the same type of energy. It's just the amount is a little bit different because boys are just naturally go, you know? But yeah, man, like that was my high school thing, you know, like I said, I did wrestling. I didn't do any other sports. Like I wish I did, but I didn't play any other sports. I wrestled and I knew I wanted to be a fighter. So like I didn't really take it too serious, but I gave it everything I had when I was there. Yeah. I just didn't have any aspirations on going to state, you know? Yeah. So 100%. that was that, you know? And then I started training a little bit in high school too. I went to Rush MMA when I was a junior in high school. And I was like in love. It was like some never back down shit for real. Like me and my homie, his dad would drive us to Macon. Yeah. And like, you know, we would go there and train and I remember that like it was yesterday, man. Like, you know, it was great. Shout out Mr. Bennett too. Mr. B, man. Him and his family like took care of me like, you know, like I was one of their own, you
community.
Know.
You know, man. And that's a big thing. I don't mean to interrupt. No, and if just shout at me if I'm cutting you off or anything. So I don't want you to lose your thought. But what I was going to ask was the going off of community, like in high school, like how was your team? Like were the teammates, like where was your team like locked in? Was it more of a brotherhood or was it more with just a bunch of high school rambling fucks? Because mine wasn't as much of a community as it could have been. Yeah. And I think that's where coaches miss out. Like if you don't have a strong team, even though it's an individual kind of sport sometimes where it's like if you don't have a whole team supporting you in your match, like that, I didn't have that. I mean, I had like a few kids that I knew on my team, and they're like, oh, you know, good stuff. But it's like, I see how, you know, MMA gyms are supporting, like the Leon Edwards kick on Usman. Yeah. They're filming the gym. The whole fucking gym's watching him. Oh, yeah. Their whole fucking gym's watching him. They're supporting him. And I'm like, I don't remember having that in high school. So then that's a huge thing when you're a part of a fucking team, especially in high school. Yeah. Like the coaches need to be like, hey, everyone, we're all on one team. It's individual, but we need to be supporting everybody. Yeah. Like we're all competing against other schools. Yeah. We need to be united as one. And dude, you have no idea how much of a difference that would make. I think it would have made a huge difference for me because it's like, I felt like I was competing against my own freaking teammates. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I lost. He's doing better than me. Yeah. You know? And it's like, I think what these coaches need to do is just, you need a brotherhood. Yeah. If you're going to be freaking sweating 2-3 hours after school in a damn room together, you need to be spending more time together outside of it, creating a bond with these teammates. You know, it's like, wrestling is like the lowest tier of a combat sport, I guess you could say, for kids, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. There needs to be, I don't know, more, involvement with, the coaches and the team as a whole, I think. You know how you get people to rally behind in a team aspect? You win. Yeah. If you're not winning, nobody wants to be a part of that team, so it's hard to buy in. Yeah. My first year wrestling, we had a squad. I was a sophomore, and the seniors were running shit, right? And I just came to practice. I would get beat up, dogged, ragdoll. I was just showing up to practice. And I remember guys on my team who I still talk to and stuff like that. They were running shit. And the team felt tight then. Although I didn't get to travel with them because I wasn't on varsity, right. I still remember being in the room and people just, beating the hell out of each other, but uplifting each other too. So we had a squad. Yeah. Then more than half the team graduated. And then it was like, that's when the brotherhood. Those teams can be big, and it's hard to do that, but it's certainly possible, man. Yeah, that's when the brotherhood kind of got lost, and we had a team. But it wasn't like people were rallying behind each other. I had the guys that I fucked with, other guys, like, they would hang out, these guys would hang out and stuff like that. But, like, it was different. There was a lot of different ages, too, in high school. Because you got, like, I think 8th grade, I think I trained with the high school team, too. My brother did, too. So it's a big age gap. And a lot of those kids are on the same wavelengths. They're going through fucking changes in their body and their fucking mind. Yeah, man. It's crazy. But if I were to help someone with that, with the problem of not having a united team, it's like, you got to talk to these kids. You guys got to make sure they're on the same wavelengths. And like, if there's beef with even your own team, you got to solve this out. You're a team. Yeah. You guys got to be united as one. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about wrestling in this shit all freaking day, but that's how I feel about it, Yeah. I love it. It's one of the greatest sports. Yeah. It's one of the greatest sports, in my opinion, to build character. Yeah. It's hard. It's one of the hardest sports you'll ever do. And I think, that builds a lot of character for a young man. It builds a lot of discipline and stuff like that. Like I said, I was fortunate to have my little brother join the team also. So like, we got to wrestle together, but like, we would beat the shit out of each other. It was great. It was rough. It was beautiful, man. It was great. I've never been more injured in my life. Like coming home feeling like, oh shit, because I ran cross country, but that was light. That's light. It's just cardio. But it's running in the sun. You're building up endurance. And that was the thing that I kind of like doing. Before wrestling season, right? Yeah. And then the coach who cross country in 8th grade, he was a wrestling coach too. He's like, when you going to wrestle for me in the fall? And I was like, I don't know. And he was a good coach. He was a 8th grade coach, and he was a good guy. And like the big thing is when you'll have like a coach that's in a program for so long, and then they'll go off and do something else. And you got a new coach who's got to feel his way in the program. And it's hard, but we could talk about that all day. There's another thing I wanted to hit on. I've seen you cornering a lot of pro fighters in recent years. Moon Cosme, Chase Boutwell. When did you step into that coaching role, and how has that experience been, and what kind of insight can you give on that? So, all right. So to go back to wrestling, when I graduated, I went back and coached the wrestling team for a couple years because my little brother was on the team too. So I wanted to help out
And I fell into a coach's role through that. Like I learned to deal with different personalities, different, characteristics and stuff like that. And it really helped me a lot. It was hard though, because it's high school boys. That shit was so annoying, dude. Like I wanted to punch one of them kids in the face every day, but fortunately I got to wrestle with them. So if they started talking shit, I'd be like, oh, all right, let's go, but yeah. So like I started with high school wrestling and then I went back to Rush MMA after I graduated college. So I started back in 2013. I went for a little bit, Central Georgia Tech. Okay. Yeah. So I went to Central Georgia Tech and graduated with a degree in electronics technology. Nice. Yeah. Never ever used it in my life. It's the stupidest shit ever. I don't even know why I did that. My parents wanted me to do it. So I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. But anyways, when I graduated college, I went back to Rush and I was coaching at the time. I was working full time and I was training. Well, then when I got my blue belt, I started like...
This was 2013, 14, you said?
Yeah, 2014 is when I got my blue belt. I think I started back training in the gi in 2013 and I got my blue belt in 2014 maybe. And I started picking up as like an assistant coach at the gym, helping out, running warm-ups. I got eased into it. Bubby's really good about like letting people ease into their role. And he let me ease into that coach's role. And he helped me, like I was like an assistant coach, for a little while, just kind of right up under him, learning from the guru himself, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing how he ran things, And then when we moved to another gym, I eventually got my purple belt. And then I started coaching more. Like I started like coaching jujitsu. And by this time I had been doing kickboxing and stuff like that too. So I was running a little bit of kickboxing program. I was running a little bit of the jiu-jitsu program. I was still coaching wrestling. So I was already doing that. Coming into the sport, I wanted to be a UFC fighter. I wanted to like eventually become a champion, right? That was my aspirations. Because I'm like, if you're not shooting for the highest pinnacle, why are you doing it, right? Why else would you do it? Yeah. But I also knew, hey, I want to be a coach. I knew that from the get-go. I was like, I want to teach people how to do this shit too and help some kid like I needed help, And I just kind of like, I don't know, man. It just kind of came naturally. Like it just came easy because I'm always open-minded. I'm a student of the game. Like coaching was just kind of something that became natural to me.
Yeah, I get that. And don't mean to interrupt on that, but it's like the same way I love this sport and I'm here because I want to be here, and I know you will coach because you want to coach. You want to see the success of that, and I want to have great conversations like this with like-minded martial artists like you. Like, it's a mutual thing with the sport, or with what you're doing in the sport. Yeah. I see that 100%, and I'm thinking about that every time I do this. I'm like, I want to be here. I enjoy this. I cherish it. Yep. You know what I mean? And I imagine you do the same with coaching, and I see that because it's not only you're helping them, but like when you see someone you're coaching, I imagine, and you see them win, you see them succeed, you're like, I'm doing the right thing for this person. You know what I mean? Like, I get that.
I take losses more personal than I take wins. Yeah. When a guy that I've helped during the camp loses, I lose. I'm a loser. I'll never call them a loser. But to myself, I'm a loser because I didn't give them the right tools, because anybody can be beaten. Anybody. Yep. I don't care who you are. Anybody can be beaten. You got to find the formula. And I'm a problem solver. And that's also why I think coaching came naturally to me, because I've always been a problem solver. I've always been a fix it type of person. Yeah. Like I got to fix this problem, And through physical combat, you can fix anything. Mm-hmm. You can find the holes. You can find there's always little loopholes.
Leon Usman. Leon Usman.
Like Captain Kirk, right? You remember, I don't know if you watch Star Trek, right? But in the movie, anyways, Captain Kirk is going to take this test, and the test is designed so that everybody fails. Yeah. But he goes and cheats and rewrites the program. Yes. He rewrites the program so that he can win. And they say, you can't do that. He was like, but I fixed the problem. I'm a problem solver, right? You can always find a solution, always. So that is what kind of helped me.
I think that was on a podcast recently they were talking about on the Jerry, where they made it to where there's no way to succeed. What are you going to do even if you're going to fail?
It was him and Snyder.
Yes, Zack Snyder.
Snyder, yeah.
I was literally listening to that the other day.
And that's what it just reminded me of.
I was like, that sounded familiar.
Yeah.
I'm like top 0.4% JRE listener, so
okay.
I'm tuned in on what you're talking about. I don't listen to
everything, but I listen to the people that I want to see, you know what I'm saying? But like, like that example is something that I thought about. I was like, dude, like, that's MMA. You got to solve a problem. They say that this guy's unbeaten. They say that this guy can't be beaten, right? There's always a way.
As Leon says, the belt belongs to nobody.
It doesn't.
It's one of the most prolific fucking things I've ever heard.
It is, dog.
And it's crazy. Until he won that belt, no one saw him as that guy. But he is like a perfect example of like when he won that belt, it literally changed him because he believed in himself, but not many other people believed him. I didn't believe in him.
No.
I literally doubted him the entire time. I'm like,
well, he was getting his ass kicked.
I didn't see it in him before the fight. I didn't see it for him during the fight. I was like, oh, he gave him a good first round.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go into this story with everybody. I'm watching. It's in Utah, so it's like late, 1, 2 in the morning on the main event. I'm just waiting. I'm like, another decision win for Usman.
Yep.
Hits the kick, and I'm literally fucking speechless.
Yeah, bro.
And I was just like, I literally couldn't even form a sentence.
Yeah.
I couldn't form a sentence. It was one of the most craziest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, watching it live by myself in the living room at 2 in the morning. I was like, holy shit, he just did that.
He did it.
And after everyone was bringing out, and then the speech after, dude, I almost shed a tear.
Yeah.
I was like, and he was shedding a tear too. He's been through so much. I love talking about that, man. That story. I love it. That's like like Leon Rocky Edwards. He's really a Rocky of the MMA game right now.
That's why we do the sports, for those moments. You do the sport for those moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why we're here. That's why we all want to be here. His coach was more excited than he was. His coach was going crazy. Coach fell over the fucking ring or over the cage. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're not supposed to be let in until a doctor clears. Yeah. Like, oh, this fighter's okay. He can get up. He fell over and he just embraced him. And it's like, you feel like that as a coach. And that's what I feel like. I feel like, you know, these guys allow me to like step into this role, and it helps me become a better person, and it helps me become a better coach. I'll give props to my OGs, like, you know, Cole Miller.
I was going to ask you on that, but you're already going into it. Yeah.
Cole Miller, Bubby Mitchell, Stephen Aiken, like, you know, there's some other guys. Adam Butler, who's one, I messaged him the other day and told him how important he was to me in my jiu-jitsu journey. John Thompson, like all the guys who've, Quentin Culpepper, even though he's my main training partner, one of my main training partners for years, he's still one of the guys that kind of helped me. But like, I give those guys props because they taught me how to fall into this role. But Moon Cosme is the dude that really allowed me to shine, because I remember when me and Moon met, I had just went through this situation with another fighter where I was trying to help him out or whatever and all that stuff, but he wasn't being receptive to the help. So I had to like cut him off, and I was like, I ain't doing this shit no more, because
if you're not in it, I'm not in it.
Yeah, I'm like, why am I giving so much more than you're giving, you know? But Moon came along, and I was like, he was hitting me up.
Complete opposite.
Dude, no, he was like texting me. He was like, man, hey, I'm gonna come train with y'all. And I was like, yeah, everybody says that. He showed up. He showed up again. He's texting me, asking me questions about fighting. I remember he was like, yo, I want you to help me out like with my shot entries, because I know you're a really good wrestler, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. After he came to Rush a couple times, I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna go out, because he was in Milledgeville at the time. I was like, I'll go out to Milledgeville, man. I'll come train with you. It's an hour drive, but you know, it'll be worth it. And we get to hang out and stuff. I get to know this dude a little bit better. We started doing that in 2015.
We are back.
All right.
Continue.
So
you were talking about a Moon, training together.
Yeah. So in 2015, we started like training together or whatever, right? And he asked me to corner one of his fights. He asked me to come like corner one of his fights.
Was this at NFC or was this amateur?
This was amateur.
Okay.
I don't even remember.
This is probably a while back.
Oh, this is a while ago. Almost 10 years ago, you know, 2015, 2016.
Sorry. Just add one thing in there and you can continue. I just want to add one thing. So you've been a part of his journey growing as a martial artist, basically from almost the inception, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
First fight, I wasn't there for his first fight, but we trained together a little bit for his first fight. That's when we first met.
So you've been, I guess you could say, coaching him since amateurs.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah. I just want to make sure and double check that.
So when, like I said, in like 2016, I think I helped him. I really cornered him. I went to one of his fights and cornered and helped alongside Kurt Reinhardt and Frank Mullis and stuff like that. So like it was all like a conglomerate of guys, because Kurt was a Muay Thai guy. I'm more of the MMA wrestling guy, and Frank has been a martial artist since God knows when. Frank's older than dirt. I'm just kidding, Frank. But Frank's like been around martial arts for a long time, since like the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a conglomerate to kind of get him here, get him to where he is. But he allowed me to take the reins, and eventually he was like, hey, you're my head coach. And I was like, bro, I feel honored. Like, I could almost cry because we were friends at that point too. And I was like, bro, I could almost cry. Like, you're giving me
someone
this responsibility.
That in you.
Yeah, man. Like, it means a lot because that means you trust me with your life.
Yeah, it's literally like this. You know, you guys, like, I trust you 100%
Yes.
with the direction of where I want to go with things.
Yes.
And that's big.
And we, you know, I talked about this too a little bit earlier, but we lived together for a little while too. When he moved to Warner Robins, we lived together for like 3 years, I think. And the relationship that we had was like a 3 or 4-fold relationship. We were roommates. He was my best friend, is my best friend. He was a coach to student relationship, but then we were also training partners. So it was like a 4-fold relationship. But I had to know which one I could tap into at this certain time. When we're at home, we're roommates and we're homies. I ain't telling this man what to do around the house. Like, he's a grown ass man. I'm not gonna tell him, you need to be doing this or you need to be doing like, that's not my place, obviously. But we bounce off each other though. Like, we both live together in harmony. You know how you hear these stories, these horror stories are like, man, I moved in with my best friend and it was a nightmare.
Yeah, when you start living with someone, it can either be the worst thing or the best thing.
It was the best thing ever, bro. Yeah. Me and him never fought. We never had a disagreement. Yeah. If I was slacking on the dishes, I'd hey man, I'm sorry, bro. I know I've been busy, dog. Him, same thing. We clean up, do things. Like, it was really like like I'm living with my best friend, and it was great, right?
That's good.
But then when it came to coaching, I had to tap into the coach's role. That means I can talk to him a certain way.
Yeah.
And he knows this ain't personal.
It's about what
it's about the goal.
Yeah.
This is not personal. I remember after one of his fights, I straight up told him, like, dude, we got to step it up. Like, this performance was piss poor. We got to step it up. I know we took it on short notice, but like, we got to step it up, you know? And Moon is really receptive. He ain't gonna let you disrespect him, but he's really receptive, you know? Yeah. So yeah, that's really been like the biggest emphasis on like me coaching and stuff like that, is like Moon kind of letting me be the reign leader of his camps. I've coached Chase Boutwell, who's one of my favorite fighters. I've coached
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I've coached Quentin Culpepper, who was one of my main training partners / like, you know, OG / like guru of, you know, martial arts too. I've coached him cornered him. I've cornered several guys, you know, local guys and stuff like that. And now that's pretty much what I do full time. It's like I'm coaching and I'm training. I'm still these guys' training partner because I'm not, most of these dudes are almost my age or older, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm not like I'm not too old to get on the mats and get down and get busy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I can still give them work. Even though I'm not a fighter anymore, I can still give them work. But like, now I'm like tapping into this coach's role and I love it, dude. I fucking love it. I love coaching. I take it personal, bro.
So kind of give some insight. Like, you've cornered for Jesse, right?
Yep.
You've cornered for
Jesse
Moon.
too.
Yep. Let's talk about how there's pro fights you've cornered, right? What's it like being on, I think you were at Attitude for Jesse.
Yeah.
And then there was UFL for Moon. Mm-hmm. What's it like cornering in that ring, in the octagon, excuse me, and like, what's that experience like? And I know you're focused on the fight, but like, what kind of insight can you give when you're yelling stuff out? Like, what's going through your mind? Like, kind of talk about the struggles that you have to like face while you're cornering. You know, what's some insight you could give on that? You know, with those two type of high level pro fights you're cornering.
So to give a little insight, you got to know these guys. You got to know their lifestyle. You got to know their mindset. You got to know their goals. If you don't know their goals, then what the fuck are we doing? Like, if I don't know what your goal is, as far as like, you want to take this fighting shit serious or you just want to kind of be a casual, like, because you do have casual guys who fight once a year. They're pro too. They just like, I just like it. It's fun. It's cool. They got other shit going on in life, you know? You got to know their goals. For me, I want to know what your goals are. How can I help you? How can you help me? And just like what type of person you are, your character. If the going gets tough, do I got to put my foot in your ass?
Yeah.
Honestly, like, if the going gets tough, do I got to put my foot in your ass?
Yeah.
Or if the going gets tough, are you putting your own foot in your ass? And do I just got to be there for moral support? Like, how are you going to respond to me yelling at you? Even though, because I'm friends with all these guys too. It's not like I'm a coach and that's it. I'm friends with Jesse. Like, me and Jesse we live almost across the street from each other.
Yeah.
Like, he's my friend. Like, Moon, we live together, and I live right up the street from him. Quentin Culpepper, like, he's my friend. We like eat dinner together, like stuff like that. Even Bubby and Cole, like, even though they're my OGs, we're still peers, you know? So I have to figure out what type of character you are. What do you respond to? What makes you tick? How can I piss you off? How can I make you happy? Because sometimes I'm gonna have to piss you off. I'm gonna have to get in there and I might have to slap you in the face. And I might have to wake you the fuck up. Like, honestly, I've never had to do it, but I know this guy don't like it. I'm gonna have to wake his ass up, and I'm gonna have to get him to realize this is serious, son. Like, we gotta go. The insight that I will provide is just get to know your fighters on a personal level. Get to know the character that you're dealing with, because the man is more important than the skill. The type of man you are is more important than what you can provide as far as like the skill set. I'll take a hard-working dummy over a guy with a high fight IQ who's piss poor and lazy. Yeah. I'll take a hard-working dummy because he's gonna outwork this person. He may not understand fighting for shit, but he can work his ass off and he can be a workhorse. And if he's responsive to what I'm saying, I can push him. I can give you the skill. You'll be fine. We'll get there. But I need a hard-working motherfucker to be right there, you know? The man is more important than the skill.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly why I like hearing, the insight. I appreciate that. Like, the details, I love that. And about what you're saying on that, the way you have to say things is like, I think what a lot of coaches might not tap into, right? They don't want to, go that route when really they should be, because they want to really help the fighter,
Yeah.
A lot of coaches don't want to do that, I feel, 100%. Like, they're just like going through the motions with them as get off your back, or, they're not saying like, are you in this or not? What's going on? Why aren't you doing what we said? Like, I think that's a big thing that separates good coaches from coaches that you're just not in it all the way.
I've realized that trust is the biggest component. Trust and respect is the biggest component. If the fighter that I'm coaching can't trust me, then they're going to do whatever they want, right? You have to trust in your staff, trust in your coaches, your coaching staff. That's the biggest aspect that Moon has about himself. I keep talking about Moon because I've spent the most time in his corner than anybody else. That's the biggest aspect that he has. He believes in us. Me, Cole, and Bubby. He'll die before he disappoints us. I know he will. He'll die before he disappoints us. We got to pull him back because he trusts in us 100%. Because he knows we give a shit, and he knows we know what we're talking about. And that's one of the biggest components. But the respect has to be there too. I have to respect you as a fighter. Like you said, my journey was a very unique one. I suffered a lot
that in here.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of losses, and I'm very open about it because you can go on YouTube. Yeah. Everybody can look at my record and look at, So it was a lot of losses and it was a lot of unfortunate events. But I have a story that I can tell other fighters so that they don't do what I did and they do it better than I did. And that's why I look at it. The silver lining is I suffer these losses so that they don't have to. Because I learned from each one of my losses. I learned as much as I could. I still go back and watch those fights. I'm like, I should
answer the questions I've got on here. I love it. I love it.
I self reflect all the time. I'm like, I could have did this better. I could have did that better. My mindset should have been better. I remember what was going on during this fight camp. I had this going on. Boom, I cut too much weight. I did it wrong. I have so many self-examination moments that like I can teach other fighters too, But yeah, like, the trust and respect is the biggest key, man, when you talk about, like, having a guy in your corner. Yeah. I'm not going to have some Joe Blow off the street in my corner. I got to be able to trust this person with my life, because this is life or death. If I'm making sacrifices as a coach to be there for you, you better fucking trust me. Like, if I'm making sacrifices in my personal life to be there for you, you better trust me. I've missed out on vacations that I've had lined up with my girlfriend. I missed out on holidays. I've missed out. Dude, I missed out on so many things, sacrificing willingly so that I can be there for fighters and other people. Like, I missed out. So if during a fight you don't trust me, then what the hell are we doing? Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? I made all these sacrifices. What are we doing? So. No,
that's awesome insight. 100%. And when I was typing up these questions, I'm like, And when you're talking about these things, I was like, damn, he's already kind of answering what I was asking. I was like, oh shit, perfect, man. Yeah. You're also, this is a little bit off the beaten bush from what we were talking about, but you're also a firefighter. So kind of going to that experience, and people have their assumptions of what a firefighter is and what they do, but what would you describe it as from an actual firefighter and, just kind of like the day-to-day? I mean, people have the assumptions, but, what would you, give it as a description? I don't know.
I'll just say this, and we say this in the fire service. It's the best job in the world, bro. It really is. It's the best job in the world. My shifts are 24 hours, and then I'm off for 48 hours. So I work one day, I'm off for 2 days. If I take one day off, I'm off for 5 days, right? I have PTO, basically PTO, paid time off. I have sick leave. I have holidays. I have other ways that I can get off work if I need to. The fire service will basically turn you into a man. Because I started when I was 20, I think I started when I was 20, yeah. And I turned 21 when I was in training. And it turns you into a man. Like, it basically turns you into a man. It teaches you life skills. I never rode a rotting lawnmower before until I started becoming a firefighter, right? Like, I never used a weed eater, like, growing up. We push mowed stuff because my yard wasn't that big, But I learned how to do that. I learned how to lay sod. I learned how to, do hay, like cut grass, sprinkler systems. I've learned immense amount of things in the fire service that you would never think. We do everything, bro. The cats out of trees, that's real, right? We do that. Cats in gutters, cats in cars, we do that. Man. We do all of that, bro. We do everything. If you need something done, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in an accident and they're there, even though they're, because the police don't always show up first, or the ambulance doesn't always show up first. Sometimes they're the first ones there.
That's how it is, dog. Yeah. We're there. We're everybody's hero pretty much, But it's a great job. My day-to-day is like, we do a lot of cleaning. We do a lot of training too. Like, training is the biggest thing we emphasize on. And that's why when I had already had like 4 fights before I started firefighting. I started fighting at 19. So I had already had like 4 fights. But when I transitioned into firefighting, I was like, this is easy. I was like, because I've already been through heat. Right? Yeah. I've already been through under pressure. Fighting is more pressure than firefighting. Firefighting is fun to me. It's a problem that needs to be solved. Yeah. This fire is here, and you need to find a way to put it out. Does it have a fuel source still running? Does it have oxygen going to it? Does it have heat going to it? You got to figure out how to eliminate one of these problems. And I'm a problem solver, man. So this is the perfect job for me. Yeah. Medical calls and all that stuff. We mostly run medical calls. 80% about medical calls. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how often is a fire going?
This year's been pretty stacked. I've had I've had about 2 or 3.
House fires or
house fire, businesses, stuff like that. Yeah.
And is it criminal or is it just like accidents?
Some of them they're rarely criminal. Like, they're rarely criminal. It's more accidents. People leaving like stuff on the stove,
gas or stuff.
Yeah, man. Is it
gas related most of the time?
Not necessarily. Accelerants don't really play a factor until you start talking about arson. But like a cigarette butt, boom, caused the whole fire on this one structure. And man, it's just crazy. Bro, it's crazy. It's crazy. But dude, I'm telling you, it's the best job ever. If you want to become a man, become a firefighter, man. You'll learn a lot.
It's an insane job.
I balanced the whole fight career and firefighting. Which is very dangerous. I don't recommend it. Stipe Miocic does it. Stipe Miocic was a world champion and a firefighter. He got back to the fire station. They're like, you're a champion. You still got to clean the toilets. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. Yeah. They don't give a shit, bro. These dudes
humbled,
Yeah, dude, it's great, man. And the crew, like, they gonna mess with you when you get back from a fight. They don't go too hard if you lose, but like if you win, man, like they really love you. They love you. They love you regardless. But the crew is always good.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of fires, man, I don't know if you saw Mark Coleman.
Yeah, I saw that.
Grabbed his parents out of a burning house and went back to save his dog.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a dangerous game, dog. It's a dangerous game. Most people die of smoke inhalation.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's even alive right now. Going into a full burning house. I didn't see what it looked like. I haven't seen any pictures, but the way they described it, and the way the state he's in right now, I imagine it was pretty lit.
It's pretty bad.
Pretty lit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean,
the thing is, the smoke is hot too.
I think that they were getting the suit out of his lungs is what they were talking about in the post. But
I hope he makes it, man, because he already had he had a hip surgery that got infected.
Yeah.
You know, he's been battling addiction and stuff like that. For most of his career and stuff. So his body's not in the best shape. So I hope he makes it out.
Yeah,
but that's a
I hope he does
dangerous
too.
game. If you're thinking about running in to save your dog, I know people love their animals. I've been like, I've seen it. People love their animals, but I'm telling you, don't do it. Like, don't do it. It's not worth it.
because you're both going to go down.
You're both going to go down. And then we're going to be finding you and your dog, you know? It's just it's a sad day for everybody when that happens, you know?
It's hard for, he's, you could say someone who's been pushed through so much in his career, in life. He's got an amazing story. And, when he forgot that the dog was in there, he's probably like, I've been through so much. I'm gonna do it because I know I can, and it's like, it's for someone like him, I think it's hard for him to accept the fact that I can't just not do it. And logically, that makes 100% sense. It's like, after a certain point, it's you can't do anything. But like, some people just can't come to terms with that. And I would probably feel the same way if it was like, someone, my loved one, That's one of the hardest things, man.
It's hard not to take action, especially as a man of his stature and a man who's been through what he's been through. It's hard not to take action because you're like, I can do it. I can do it. It's a dangerous gamble because sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. And I've seen where you can and I've seen where you can't. Like, it's just a dangerous game to play. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I can't tell anybody not to go save their family, or their dog or whatever, but I recommend you let the professionals do their job, so.
Yeah, that's some intense stuff, man.
Yeah, man. But it's still, like, with all the sadness that we just talked about, bro, it's I swear to God, bro, it's one of the best jobs in the world.
But it's just,
it don't
a little
feel like
more
work,
casual.
man.
Yeah,
it don't feel like work.
Yeah, it's I mean, I've seen like a few stations here in my day, when they're not out on call or whatever, they're working out at the station, drinking coffee, shooting the shit, watching the game. There's I think there was footage of they were watching a basketball game, and it was like minutes before like someone scored a buzzer beater, and they got called in, and they all ran out of the room, and then the TV's going, and the team they were rooting for just won or something, and they weren't there because they had to leave at the last second.
Bro, it's the worst when you get like, I'm watching fights at the station and like one of my teammates is about to fight and I'm like viewed in on my phone and like we get a call and I'm like, motherfucker. Bro, I'm like so locked in. I'm like, God dang it, but it is what it is. It's part of the call. It's the Call of Duty, you got to do it, man.
Part of it.
Heck yeah.
So much to talk about on that.
So on the topic of you getting your black belt, man, you just started striving for it. When did you really like become the white belt and then start that journey? Was it when you literally started training and fighting, or was it just already a part of your training when you became an amateur? Like, how did the jiu-jitsu journey start?
Okay. I was a little confused at first, but I understand what you mean. So I started training jiu-jitsu and gi jiu-jitsu in 2013. I trained no gi back in like 2011, I think. This was when I was in high school. And that's what I said. I went to Rush for a little stint and then I stopped or whatever because transportation became an issue. Yeah. But I already had experience and then I wrestled on top of that. Mm-hmm. So getting in a gi, it was just a few adjustments and then I picked it up. And I got my blue belt in 9 months, I think. I got my blue belt in like 9 months, yeah.
And that was under Bubby, right?
Yeah, under Bubby. So I went from white to black under Bubby Mitchell and Cole Miller, which is a blessing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started at Rush, but then like Cole kind of like adopted me like a little black son. You know what I'm saying? Like under his lineage. So him and Bubby, and they're best friends too. So like it was easy. It was easy to hold on, your phone just fell out. Yeah. It was easy to kind of go under both of them or whatever, and so like it was cool. But yeah, so I started training in 2013, right after I graduated college. I remember I had this job, and it was just not going well because I couldn't make it to training. I was working late and stuff. So I don't like to say fired, but we separated.
Yeah.
We separated.
100%. I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I get that.
and I focused on fighting, man. I started working at Dairy Queen, which gave me the time that I needed to train. And I was like, I ain't making no money, but
I'm in the same
training.
situation right now, but it's a little bit more flexible, you know, when you get time to do other things.
It is, man. So I was a white belt. Yeah. So I started the white belt journey in 2013. Then I got my green belt in like a month, and then I was a green belt for a little while. And then like I said, I got my blue belt in 9 months, and I was a blue belt for maybe like a year or two. I can't remember, but then I got my purple belt, and I was a purple belt for a while. I was actually a brown belt for a while too. For 4 years, I think I was a brown belt, almost 4 years. And I was a purple belt for roughly about 4 years.
It's 3 stripes on the brown belt to move up to the next?
It's four.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 4 stripes on every belt to move up.
So on brown belt, I guess you could say, how long does it take between each stripe? Just brown belt, you think?
There is no set time. There is a structured diagram breakdown of like how long you're supposed to spend at one belt technically. But it's all self-development. It's all in how serious you take it. I was a brown belt for 4 years, which is a long time to be a brown belt, because brown belt is supposed to be one of the shorter belts, because you're just refining stuff and then you get your black belt usually, right? But I was a brown belt for 4 years because I was focusing on MMA coaching. I was focusing on becoming a coach, coaching more, taking more serious. So I wasn't in the gi a whole lot. Right. At first I was, but then I like slowly faded out of the gi a little bit more, and I would, pick up here and there. But I went to Thailand. I'm training Muay Thai. I'm trying to sharpen up my skills there.
We're definitely gonna get on that in a second.
Yeah. So I'm trying to sharpen up my skills there and coaching MMA and stuff. And man, I just, I spent 4 years as a brown belt, and then, I eventually got it, but there's no real set time.
Yeah, I figured there is, and I talked to Jesse a little bit about that, but
yeah, I don't even think, did Jesse have 4 stripes on his brown belt when he got promoted?
I can't remember, honestly. I wasn't able to go to the ceremony. I wanted to be there.
I was there, but I can't remember, dog. It's so hard to remember. Yeah.
But I know for him, I think he's about 10 years or 11 for him to get his black belt, I think. Maybe a little bit longer, because he started fighting in the late 2000s.
He started fighting when he was like 15.
Yeah. But I'm not sure when if he started his jiu-jitsu at the same time.
He didn't start in the gi. I don't think he started in the gi.
Yeah.
But he barely wore the gi before he got here, before he got to Warner Robins. He barely wore the gi, but he wears it now.
Yeah, wears it.
Cole was like, "You gonna wear that gi, boy?" I'm like, "All right, dude."
Yeah, I was happy for him when he got that, but I was talking to him about that. Right when I interviewed him, he got his black belt like a month later.
Oh, nice.
And I was just like, okay, you're close, because he's like, I'm gonna get this black belt. I'm training. I'm working hard. I'm gonna get it. And I was like, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah. But I think I was talking to him about like, it's like the blueprint for getting that black belt. I mean, on average, it takes about like 10 years if you're really getting vetted by real black belts and real jiu-jitsu coaches. 10 years is probably the average, right? And that's getting a real black belt, not like a, from a fake academy or whatever,
It took me 11 technically to get my black belt, because like I said, I started in 2013 and I just got my black belt about 2 weeks ago. So it took me roughly 11 years. The secret, or the blueprint, if you want to, talk about it, is just train, bro. Like don't worry about the belt, man. Like I don't give a fuck about no belts, man. Like I care, but I don't care. Yeah. It's a good thing. It's a good marker to show, hey, I'm getting better, right? But that belt only means as much as you can go. Like if your skill set don't match, people gonna be like, you don't want anybody looking at you sideways. I've been to other academies. I've cross-trained at other schools and stuff like that. And like I can say I come under a very good lineage. I have a very strong lineage in jiu-jitsu under Bubby and Cole. And I've been blessed to run into almost some of the greatest minds in jiu-jitsu, Ricardo Laboria, Marcelo Garcia, because of Cole and Bubby and stuff like that. Steve Mako, who's a wrestler, and he wrestled for Iowa and stuff like that, who's, NCAA. I think he won the NCAAs. I think he did. But even if he didn't, that dude's a legend, bro. Yeah. But Steve Mako, I've done seminars under these guys, and like I've been fortunate. So like I can say I have a strong lineage in jiu-jitsu, and I have a strong jiu-jitsu game because of my OGs, the guys who
down.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm blessed. I'm really blessed to get the black belt.
There's a lot of history there.
It is, man. It is.
In the sport, how it just trickles down. Yeah, the newer generation.
Yeah, man. It's great. I mean, like I said, just if you're worried about the belt, just train. Just train harder. If you want to get it sooner, just train harder. That's it. Train twice a day instead of once a day. You know what I'm saying? Get off your ass. Like, just go get it. It's there for you. Your coaches want to give it to you.
Yeah.
They want to. They want to see you succeed. You just got to work hard. That's it. So.
And it's like the journey of being lifelong. Because I remember like the first part of the video Jesse took of his ceremony. It was like, this is just, he said something about this is just the staple of one part of the journey. Like this is just the start. Like basically he was saying this is just the start. The basic knowledge. He's saying this is the basic knowledge of the sport or something. He said something of that nature. So basically, you know, and he's still learning and he's still getting promotions on the black belt. So it's like, it just continues to go and go and go. And what is this I've seen before is red belts.
Coral belt.
Coral belt. That's right. That's right.
Coral or red or whatever.
That's above black belt, right?
Yeah.
That's like literally the highest of the high, right?
I'll never get one.
Like
I'll never get
how
one.
many, is that like 30 plus years or what?
You have to be a black belt. These guys are black belts for like 30 years. You know what I'm saying? 40 years sometimes. Like there's only a select few. Those are the 1% of the 1%. Yeah. Like I'll never get one. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm fine with that. Like I'm like, man, that's a lot of weight on my shoulders, you know. But now, like, and I don't take jiu-jitsu as serious as those guys do. I'm an MMA fight. I'm a martial artist, right? So like my MMA career precedes jiu-jitsu sometimes. Yeah. But then I get back in my jiu-jitsu bag, and then I bounce back to MMA, and then I go to Muay Thai and all that stuff. But yeah, that's a milestone. I've never even seen.
I mean, I hear it talked about. I mean, black belts talked about more than coral belts because I guess it's more attainable. And you know, when you're in the sport of MMA, you know, they get the black belt, and that's, you know, they improve on that, but that's generally where you want to be. Jiu-jitsu, I guess.
Hickson Gracie is a coral belt. I think one of the Machado brothers, if not both of them.
I just don't hear it talked about that much.
It's rare. It's too rare.
It's very rare. So I was just curious, like, how attainable that is. You know?
It's very unattainable. And I'm not even thinking about
I feel like we're not even qualified to talk about it. It's like, what are we talking about?
I'm a 30-year-old black. I just got my black belt at 30. If I'm going to be on the mats for I'm planning on being on the mats for the rest of my life. I doubt that I'll attain a coral belt ever. I don't think I'll ever get one. And I'm fine with that.
But it's just interesting to know that that's out there.
Yeah.
That exists.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
And there's some old guy out there just like, you know, sitting with that thing on.
Yeah, waiting to fuck somebody up.
That's what I was going to go off of. Came back to me. So Thailand. You recently visited Thailand in March of last year, April of last year, for Moon's training camp for his next fight, right? Mm-hmm. So how was the whole Thailand experience, being Muay Thai, the people, where you were at? And he's told me a little bit about it and, you know, how it is. But what was your experience? Like, I don't know if you stayed as long as he did, but.
I didn't, unfortunately, because I had to come back for work. But again, my job let me off, you know, for multiple shifts in a row, which people with a normal job can't do that, you know? So I was very fortunate, but I was there for 2 weeks, and Thailand was the best experience from a martial arts standpoint that I could have ever done. It was the greatest experience from a martial artist that I could have ever gone through. The people, the food, the cultural experience, the training, the connections that I've made. I got people that I still talk to almost daily that I met in Thailand a year ago, right? I got a guy who's in my phone right now. I literally was just messaging him. He fought this morning, last night. Yeah. He fought last night. You know,
they fight all the time.
They fight all the time, bro. Fighting
Tuesdays, Mondays, doesn't matter.
Fighting is nothing. It's nothing, bro. It's nothing. It's no pressure. You know, we put so much pressure as MMA fighters. Those dudes have 300 fights, you know what I'm saying? Like when they retire.
They're so tough. But like one thing I've seen is that the kids are fighting at a young age.
There's people that start very young. They start at like 7 years old, 10 years old, stuff like that. They start fighting Muay Thai. And it's nothing, man. It's a fight. It's like, don't take it serious.
They don't.
No. Why?
It's normal. It's a part of life.
That's the biggest thing that I took away from Thailand is like, you know, don't take this shit serious. Like, yeah, a fight is serious because you could die, you know, but like it's a competition. Like this is my explanation, right? A fight is a competition, and 9 times out of 10, 99.99% of times, people don't die, right? Mm-hmm. The most
especially in MMA.
Yes. The most dangerous thing you'll experience is unconsciousness or
choked out
or no cuts. Oh yeah. Because getting choked out, you know, or knocked out. Honestly, that's a way to go out. Yeah, it's bad, but it's like it's not even that bad, you know. But
a little nap.
Yeah. but getting cut up and breaking something, you know, like that's the worst that this thing will get. And,
and they don't let it. Refs usually don't let it get that far.
They
You know,
don't
they
let it
usually
get that
stop
far.
it before.
They
I mean,
usually-
back in the older days, maybe a little different, but now
Yeah.
they see one cut and you're done. Like
It's
they
a
won't even let you
competition.
go on. You know?
We have to get licensed to do this thing.
Yeah.
This is
The
not
government has to get involved.
Yeah, this is not you can't, like, your chances of dying are very slim. The government gets involved. You got to pay money. Like, you got to get your blood work done. You got to get your physical exams. You have to get licensed.
Yes, and that's what a lot of people don't know. And when we were talking about how we would have to go to people in the community and tell them, you know, what MMA is about and why we want to bring it to here, it's like, so there's probably still people out there that just see this as cockfighting.
It is. They think.
And you'd have to tell them, like, hey, the government is involved. They
Yeah.
regulate it.
Yeah.
They have to, you know, go through all these requirements in order to fight. And even when they are severely injured in the fight, the referee's main job is to protect them.
Yes.
So the moment a fighter goes out, and especially in MMA, it's not like boxing where you get 10 seconds after you've been practically knocked out. You get 10 seconds to recover and get back up and still get damage. Where in MMA, you get dropped the right way and you're out like you are on the floor. You're done. That's it.
It's way safer.
It's 100% more safer. I mean,
Yeah.
and people just need to understand that. And people don't just do the simple Google and then they just want to have this opinion. They just see the flashy knockouts. They see the swollen faces. They see the broken legs. They see all that. And then they form their verdicts off of that.
Yeah.
But if someone were to articulate something and put it out there, there'd be a different
Let's talk about this right here, right? Let's talk about this. If a fight breaks out at Walmart, how many people busting out their phones and watching?
a bunch.
Everybody. Everybody loves violence, whether they want to admit it or not. They love watching violence. They love watching people get hurt. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for people to be so against MMA, which is fading away from that, but at first people were very against it. For people to be against MMA, it's kind of weird because it's like, if a fight breaks out right now, you are glued to it. You are committed to this thing. You are, oh gosh, like, that's so cool, or that's so crazy, or that's so bad, but you're still watching. You're tuned in, you know? One thing I want to say about fighting, all right? One thing I want to say, and this is like, I'm coining this shit, okay? A jiu-jitsu match is not a fight, okay? A fight is not a war. All these guys saying, I'm going to war this weekend, right? It's not a fucking war, dog. You ain't dying. You're not dying, bro. The possibility.
The government's involved,
The government's involved, bro. You don't have weapons, dog.
You got a referee.
Yeah, you got a man in there to save your ass. It's not a war, bro. And a jiu-jitsu match is not a fight. It's a match. It's a turn. It's a competition.
I guess you could say in some.
Yeah, it's not a fight, man. It's not a jiu-jitsu match is not a fight. And an MMA fight is not a war. You know, I used to be that guy. I'm going to war this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to war. Like, it's like, now I look back and I'm like, God,
I think a lot
that
of
was so
guys say that
stupid.
for theatrics and, you know, like, it's going to be a war in the sense of it will be crazy. But yeah, some people take it out of proportion.
understand,
Yeah.
but like guys who have been to war, like guys like Brian Stan who have been to war, they are allowed to use that because they're in a different mindset. They're like, I got to try to kill this person. Like, they're in a different mindset, right? But guys who are in a trained an environment, right? Where a controlled environment where there's AC and heat, like, bro, you ain't going to war. You're not going to war, bro. Look, they got a concession stand right outside this place. You're not going to war. If you get parched, you get parched, bro, you can go grab a beer. Like, this ain't a war, dog. You know, it's weird, man. It's just funny when you think about it like that, you know, so.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. I was thinking of something and then I lost it. We were talking about fighting. We were talking about Thailand. Yeah. The people, the culture, you know, fighting is just, you know, a normal thing for them. You know, they're always giving is what Moon told me.
Dude, the people there are...
And the hospitality.
The hospitality is so good, man. I did not go to Bangkok, so I can't speak on the whole, you know.
What was the name of the place you guys went?
We went to Phuket, which is Rawai. We went to Rawai Beach. Touristy area, very safe, clean, very nice. Hot as a motherfucker, though.
Oh, yeah.
Hot, bro. Heat is insane.
Humid, right?
Humidity is 100% and the heat is 107. It's hot, bro. I didn't wear a shirt for 2 weeks. Yeah, because I was like, this is pointless.
Why would you?
Yeah, I was like, this is pointless. I want to walk around with a
everyone
shirt.
else walks around
Yeah,
with
they're
a
like
shirt on.
walking around with no shirts on. I'm like, man, I ain't wearing no shirt, you know. But
point,
I
man.
walked around in swimming trunks for 2 weeks, bro, and a hat,
I
you
would do
know.
the same thing.
But no, the people were, bro, unmatched. Unmatched, bro. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Well, hydration too. How much water are you having to drink? Are you having to double the water you're drinking out there?
Bro, I drank so much water. Me and Moon had a routine. In the morning, we wake up, we do creatine with water and electrolytes in it. And then we would do a little bit of coffee.
Mix it in.
No. We just have like a little cup of coffee or whatever. And then we would do more water after that. Then we would go train, right? While we're at training, I'm drinking water while we're training. I usually don't drink water while I train because it's like,
Y'all are outdoors too under the
we're under
little pavilion.
Like a little cover, but it's outdoors, so like you got to drink. Then after you get done, you got to drink more because you're gonna train later on that day. I cramped up a lot, at first, and then my body eventually got used to it. I had to get massages every other day, but you have to drink an immense amount of water. You're drinking so much water that you're not even really that hungry. I would eat twice a day sometimes,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a freaking dietitian or whatever. I've just always found that I don't really need more than 2 meals a day. I feel like that's just me personally. And I'm not like bodybuilding or anything. It's different for everybody, but just as like, someone who's not as into much physical stuff, it's definitely like you don't even need more than 2 meals a day, I feel. But that's just me and my situation. I'm not talking about for anybody else. No one take it out of context.
2 meals with a snack, is fine.
Keep it simple.
But yeah, man, like it was great, bro.
Yeah.
It was great. It was amazing.
I mean, the way he talked about it, I was like, that looks like such a fun place to go.
Bro, it was
and you see
beautiful.
the stuff online that's been popping up. They're making passports for fighters to go there and spend money and stuff. And I'm like, that's really cool. Yeah, and it's like a package deal.
Bro, because it brings in so much money. Thailand, the baht to dollar is insane.
Yeah, he told me
I was living like a king over there, bro. Like I was like, I'm fucking rich, bro. Like this is crazy. Like it would be like 7 of us eating dinner together, and like I was only there for 2 weeks, and I had like cash to spend, so I would just pay for dinner.
Wait. So did you switch currency to pay for stuff, or did you just pay in cash?
Yeah. Or you can swipe your card. Okay. But I just switched currency to baht versus dollar or whatever. So I would pay for the whole table, 7 people. I'd be like, man, here's $40. Like,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, bro, it was insane, man.
I mean, and he was talking about the surgery too, so cheap. I got it that day too, right?
Yeah, man. Everything was so crazy over there, man. It's a whole new world. Like, it's beautiful, man. I recommend.
I want to go. It sounds fun, man.
Yeah, dude, it's great, bro. They got jiu-jitsu over there too. Yeah. So, like, we're going to check that out next time. We focus on just Muay Thai this time, but we're going to go next time.
No, it seems like a great place. I mean, you only went to like one section, but what are some other things you guys were looking to do while you were there? Like, other than training, because I know like you were training most of the day, but y'all went to the beach. Like, what else was other things you guys did?
Really was just the beach and just like recovery, because like we were training twice a day, 4 hours a day. That's a lot on the body. You really don't. I was taking naps here and there, but we went to the beaches. I wanted to go to like some clubs. Like I wanted to check those out and stuff like that. Just see what the scene was like and stuff. Cause like, that's just seems like fun. I was like, man, I want to see what this is about. We went out one night. It was like my last night there. Yeah. We went out and played pool. It wasn't really busy. It's like we played pool, went to this one spot. There's a lot of people in there. It was hot as balls.
Nice.
Had a couple drinks and then we just was like, all right, let's go back home, so, but beyond that, I mean, I really just wanted to train. Yeah. Next time we go back, I'll focus more on like doing things because I wanted to train.
Yeah, you want to get the most out of the experience.
It was
100%.
a vacation, but it was like a traincation.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Yeah,
I call it a vacation. I'm working. I'm working my butt off here.
Yeah, man.
Your shirt kind of answers this one a little bit, and please say him if it is, because I've found a liking to him a lot more recently. I've been watching a lot of his old interviews and stuff. He's someone that I really, really love listening to. But as a martial artist who is someone you resonate with, whether it be an MMA fighter or someone in the combat sports world, Muhammad Ali, you could go off of that, or just someone else that, you like listening to, or, watching them fight, any of those.
I have a couple different guys that I like listening to. And, I mean, obviously, everybody, when you first start fighting, you get into Muhammad Ali. This shirt was given to me. I didn't even buy it. Like, this is a gift. But I have a deep respect for Muhammad Ali, and like, I love what he did, and I love his mindset. He's a great fighter, obviously one of the greats as far as when it comes to culture and fighting and everything. But he's not one of my favorites by any means. Martial artists that I like to really dive into and like listen to, man. I like Michael Chandler. I like his mindset. I like Mike Chandler.
See you at the top.
Yeah, right. Lately, I'm not gonna lie, he's been a little more like theatrical But when he was in Bellator and when he first got in the UFC, I was really like on it because I follow him on Instagram and listen to his mindset and listen to
He's always giving out motivation stuff and always talking about his journey, and he's always working out and he's like workout of the day, and he's like talking about the things he's had to go through. And right now he's waiting on that big money fight, right? And he's like been waiting a long time. And when you're a fighter at this age, a year is a long time. And then when you start going over a year from a booked opponent, starts getting to the point where it's like, okay, for him at least, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
He's like patiently working out. And you see Conor just,
on his yacht.
Yeah, on his yacht, Roadhouse movie debuts, Brapa 12, and he's just like tuning it all. It's like, I'm training.
Yeah, he's just waiting for that call.
And
shout outs to him though for waiting for that call.
I mean, I think it's bigger than just a money fight for him because that's kind of like, I guess you could say, the culture of the sport, right? He's like, he's the biggest icon in MMA ever. Yes. Most popular. Yeah. Biggest name
hold on.
Not intensive like technical skill, but like the name popularity.
I will beg to differ about that. I will argue a little bit about that. Okay.
That's it.
Chuck Liddell is one of the most famous people ever, bro. Even if people didn't know his name, if you said the Iceman, they've
seen him,
like back when UFC, like back when he was fighting, the Iceman was like insane. This dude, this average looking Joe, he got a little bit of abs, but he got a little stomach, and he's knocking dudes out. Everybody's like with a mohawk. Yeah, like come on, dog, come on.
Then there's the Irish guy with the freaking ponytail, right?
Like, but Conor is a very big star.
He's
obviously.
Millions of followers, right? I mean, everything he tweets or posts is like news, media. He's just so popular, and I think he sees him as obviously a formidable opponent, but at the same time, I think this is like this. I don't want to say it's a legacy fight, right? Because they're not even fighting for a belt.
Yeah, but it is though.
It is a legacy fight at the same time because this is the biggest. I'll say right now, Iceman is certainly up there.
Yeah,
but I say right now, Conor, even though he's still not even freaking fighting and maybe not even training, he is still the biggest star in the sport in the world. He's generating all this talk, all the media talking about him. He's not even fighting. Yes. And these people are still talking about him. And that just speaks volumes as to how big an icon he is.
Yes.
So I think what he wants to do is he wants to be a part of that history. And he wants to fight in there. Yeah.
He wants to taste that.
Hopefully it happens soon. They were talking about it happening at the end of this year.
Yeah.
It'll be probably one of the biggest fights, I think, because there's been so much of a build up to this. Yeah. They've got to have so much stuff in the chamber ready to load out. I mean, there's the Ultimate Fighter season promo stuff. There's all the talk on Twitter, all the talks of back and forth, and they're going to run into each other somewhere close in the UFC PI. There's going to be something that happens, and I think it's going to be one of the biggest MMA fights of all time. I mean, they should be, I would hope that they're just building the shit out of this right now, figuring out, okay, when we get closer to that date, which they know, but they don't want to say. Yeah. But they said later this year, but they're not even confirmed anything. They're gonna build it, I would think.
I talking about Conor, he's one of the other guys that I love listening to. Mm-hmm. Michael Chandler's mindset is amazing because he was a wrestler. I love listening to him. Conor McGregor, when I was actively fighting, Mm-hmm. Love listening to that dude. He gave me inspiration, motivation. I think he gave everybody the same hope. Kamaru Usman is another guy that I resonate with. When Tyron Woodley was champion, he was one of my favorite fighters. He was one of the guys that I loved listening to, and just like the way he viewed fighting, especially he
had kind of a tough upbringing.
He did, man, and like being like an African American in the sport, you know what I'm saying? Like being
well, he was who was the first African American champion? It wasn't him, but I know he was.
Was it Rampage?
No, I think not Mark Coleman, but
Kevin Randleman. No, Kevin Randleman wasn't champion in the UFC.
I'm about to Google it right now. Fact check this right now.
The first African American champion, or it was.
I know his name. I just freaking forgot it. Jack Johnson. Wait, no, that's boxing.
No, that's boxing.
That's boxing. Yeah. I said, it changed it to boxing.
Yeah.
MMA, please. What the heck is first black UFC? Maurice Smith.
I was about to say,
that's who it was. It was a guy with the blonde hair. I remember the blonde hair.
That's Kevin Randleman.
Is it?
Yeah, Kevin Randleman is the guy with the blonde hair.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Randleman.
Okay.
R.I.P.
I'm mixing them.
Maurice Smith. I I remember. I thought his name was Marcus or something like that. I was like, wait, Maurice, but I remember seeing him fight back in the day. I don't know too much about him, but I remember seeing him fight. But like, dude, Tyron Woodley was very big inspiration.
Very
for
dominant,
me.
too.
Yeah, I had a lot of guys that I just drew inspiration from. So like, that question is kind of tough. It's a tough question.
Well, I have another way of kind of spitting that out because this is just where you just give one word about a fighter, like what you think about him. It could be anything. So I'm just gonna throw a name out there, and then you just say first thing that comes to mind, just one word. Israel Adesanya. One word.
Striker.
Okay. Shavkat Rakhmonov. I love that guy, by the way. He's like my favorite right now.
Tough.
Yeah. Very. Leon Edwards.
Underdog.
Ilya Taporia.
Cocky.
Islam Makhachev.
Lovable.
Dricus Duplessis.
Dricus. Cheesy.
Sean Strickland.
America.
Francis Ngannou.
Powerful.
Facts. John Jones.
How can you say anything but the GOAT?
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
You know?
I'm trying to think of some more. Iceman.
Iceman, legend. Legendary.
Robbie Lawler.
Psychopath.
Yeah, the way he used to fight.
Yeah.
That lip in the Rory McDonald fight.
Psychopath.
Absolute insanity. He got inducted for that. That was 100%.
You heard what he said. You heard what he said when they talked about Conor McGregor. He was like, they were like,
"Oh yeah, I'll take his soul."
Like, I wasn't
Take
going for. He's like, I wasn't coming for no neck, or he's like, I wasn't taking his neck. He's like, well, what would you take? He's like, I take his soul. Dude, he means that.
Yeah,
he's a psychopath. I love it.
He's fought. He just retired. Like, he fought for so long. I mean, the early days.
Yeah.
Early days, and he literally just retired on a KO win.
Yeah.
He's like up there with one of those guys like Jim Miller. I'm forgetting a bunch of other people, but he's in that range where
Clay Guida's fought for a long
time. Clay Guida too.
Clay's still going too. It's insane.
It's insanity. I mean, the amount of competition he's been through and fought with, from like the less technical, more aggressive, rowdy style to a more fine-tuned and technical style.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more performance and endurance based, kind of lasting longer.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see someone last through different stages. Yeah, different stages of the MMA and how it's evolved. It's insanity. Absolute insanity. But that's all I got for you. But if you want to shout anything out, dude, the mic is yours, man.
Let's see, man. What do I want to talk about? I'll talk about something real quick, all right? People always ask, like, who are your favorite fighters, right? And anytime anybody asks me, like, who my favorite fighters are, or like, man, who are guys that you're watching right now? Who are guys that you, like, you really love watching? It's everybody that I train with. All the guys that I train with, I sweat with, I see, fight on a monthly basis. Those are all my favorite fighters. Chase Boutwell, one of my favorite fighters. Amun Kazmi, one of my favorite fighters. Quentin Culpepper, one of my favorite fighters. Homer Mangrum, TJ Spires, Jesse Wallace, Emery. Dude, like, these are all guys that I sweat with and like bleed with, and they're some of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I'm
when
more
you're really in there
into
with
theirs than any other person. I'm more invested into their journey than any other person. And then guys that I still fuck with, and I don't even train with them daily. Malcolm Wellmaker. Even though him and Chase just fought, it was a hard fight because me and Malcolm are friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like Malcolm is like stayed at our house when me and Moon were like living together. Malcolm's trained here, like stayed at our house and stuff like that, when he came to visit. And genuine guy, great dude. I got nothing but love for that dude. And when the fight got announced, it was hard because I had to separate friendship and coach because I was one of Chase's main coaches at the time too. And Malcolm Wellmaker, I got nothing but love for that dude. He's a great fighter. One of my favorite fighters.
Bantamweight.
Akeem Bashir. Akeem trains at American Top Team. I've known him for years. One of my favorite martial artists. I'd say he's probably the best martial artist I've ever met. I don't say fighter because he's not a fighter. He's a martial artist through and through. Torres Finney, the Punisher. I'd known this guy since he wrestled in high school. Like, he's another one of those guys that I'm just like, I love watching this guy fight. I can go all day
all the guys
on the dudes that I really love
you've been in there with.
thoroughly, and I've trained with. Alexander Shank, shout out my boy too. Him and Moon fought. After that, for some reason, we all became friends.
Yeah.
Like, because it was real and it was thorough, you know? But these are dudes that I love watching on a day-to-day, and I love seeing their journey. And I'm more invested in their journey than these guys that I don't even know. I never bump shoulders with, you know? Yeah. These are some of my favorite fighters. And if you don't got the love and support for those local dudes like you should, like, shame on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not pushing them more than you're pushing your favorite fighter in the UFC, somebody that never is going to give back to you, shame on you. You should be showing immense love for these dudes and showing that these dudes are the ones that, like, you see every day. You know what they're eating. You know what they do for work. You know what I'm saying? You know the struggle that they go through. A lot of sacrifices, man. I've seen people miss out on birthdays and family events and stuff like that, man. Like, I don't want to get too into it, but I've seen Moon go through some traumatic stuff. And literally he was like, hey, I gotta go do this real quick, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna train. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you got that going on and you're doing this? I'm like, that's a grind. That's a sacrifice. Like, I've seen it every day. And these dudes are some of my favorites. You know what I'm saying?
I respect that, you know? Like, that's why I love this sport so much. I mean, you can't compare this sport to anything, any other sport, any other physical, you know, type of activity or whatever. This is human.
Yeah.
Like, it's in everybody. Yeah. Everyone's got a little bit of fighting in them, you know? Maybe not the same degree or whatever, but like, when I see... Like, I pay attention, you know, I'm in tuned in with the UFC embedded, and I'm obviously in tuned on the regional scene as well. So, like, I see what these guys are going through. And, like, dude, like, when I see you guys going through it, like, I've got my own battles, y'all got your own battles, but, like, dude, like, I think about what you guys are going through, the mindset you guys are in, it helps me. Like, you guys are so disciplined. You guys are on your fucking shit. That's a perfect way to live.
It is.
It's a great way to live, because if you're not fucking disciplined, you don't fucking care about goals or anything. Like,
I forgot about Lindsey Jones too.
Oh yeah, shout out Lindsey.
Yeah,
shout out Lindsey.
Did an interview with you. That's
It's coming out soon.
We were teenagers together, started training together.
Yeah, shout out Lindsey Jones. No, you're good.
I was like, I can't
you're
forget
good.
about this
Shout
guy.
out Sweet Tea.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He
man.
was El Toro Loco before the Sweet Tea, by the way. So.
Yeah. But no, man, this fucking sport. Like, I'll be thinking at night. I'm like, what would the Moon think? Or like, I would think about like Cole Miller. Yeah. Like, what would someone like him think? I would think about their mindset as a fighter. Like, I look up to these guys, and I'm like, these guys, like, what would this guy, you know, how would this guy approach it? Like, when I've spoken to these people, it's like a part of them has touched a part of me where, like, I take a little bit of their mindset, just a little bit, and it just helps me in what I want to do and pushing to do the best stuff and, you know, be the best person I can be. Now I feel like I have to be on my toes. I have to be doing my thing, because I know you guys might be watching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I feel that 100%. I feel like the community is watching, and we're supporting each other, and we're uplifting each other, and we're trying to make sure everybody stays straight. Yeah. I got tons of love for Cole and Bubby and all the guys that came before me. These are the guys that gave me the reins. My job is to pass on the knowledge that has been passed on to me. Literally, that's all I'm here. I'm a vessel of information. I am nothing in this sport. I am nothing in jiu-jitsu. I am nothing in Muay Thai. I am nothing in MMA. I am nothing. I am absolutely nobody. I am a vessel for this knowledge to pass through, to give to somebody else. My journey means absolutely nothing. But the things that I pick up and the stuff that I receive, I am obligated to give it to the next generation. Because if I don't, and I hold on to those secrets and that information that I've gained, I'm doing this sport a disservice, and I refuse to die full of knowledge. I am obligated to pass this on.
It's like dying with $1 million, right?
Why would you do that? Give it away. Give it to somebody else. Pass it on to the next. Double it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Put it into something.
put it into something. Give it away. Invest it.
And
Invest
value,
it to someone else. And that's what I truly believe in. I don't believe in holding back anything. There are no secrets with me when it comes to MMA. I don't believe in it. Knowledge is
To go off of that, yeah, I mean, like, this journey for me started when I walked in this building, dude.
I remember. I was there.
You were there.
Yeah.
You were there. You were one of the first people.
I
you
think
and Jesse.
we talked to you. Yeah, it was like me and Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse, I think he was like, I was coming in for the doc for Cole. And I was like, hey, is he in? And he's like, no, he's in Florida getting stripe on his black.
I remember that, yep.
And I was like, okay, well, he's like, do you want to just stay and watch, I think? Or maybe that was like the second time I came. And he's like, you want to just stay and watch? Like, he just invited me in. Yeah. And he like gave me his phone number immediately, like the first time. Yeah. Like, I've never experienced that type of like just hospitality, like just giving out information to some stranger he just met. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
You know, I could be a crazy person. Yeah. And he just, here.
We're crazy.
You can watch. Just sit here and watch with us. Yeah. Good crazy. Yeah. Good crazy. Yeah. But no, you're good. But no, and it's just like
that's beautiful.
I was in here, and then I kept coming back till he was here. I was like, I'm gonna be coming back. I'm gonna get this, and then he came in. I told him what I want, and I was like, I just need to get some B-roll. Spent a lot of time in here just filming jiu-jitsu.
I remember,
filming jiu-jitsu and filming him teaching, and it was what really got me into this,
Yeah.
And I had to do a project, right? I had to choose someone. Yeah. And I had known who he was, but I was like, man, what if I could get him?
Yeah.
What if I could talk to this guy?
Yeah.
And that's just led me into this snowball effect into MMA world,
Yeah.
And without that project, I don't know if I'd be here. I don't know if I'd be here talking to you or any of these guys, right? Yeah. It's insane, man. And I love it. I love the journey, and it's been great.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's all I got. That's a fucking hell of a way to go. End it out. But
keep it going, dude.
Man, that's all I got for you, man.
Appreciate it.
Camera's probably tired as fuck.
Yeah.
He's burning up, man. I got a bunch of good shit, man. But hey,
brother.
Lathon Lawson, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him.
Heck yeah. Woo.
Fuck yeah, man. That was awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Cut these things off.